We are live, everybody. Welcome back to the Diaspora channel, and thanks so much for tuning in. A happy weekend to you all. I hope you guys are enjoying your weekend. And every Saturday, I look forward to have this discussion with my family. So that's why it's called Family Discussion. So feel free. We are here. We're going to hear from our brothers and sisters from all background, all faith. It's family. So what matters first is us African having our discussions here. We are not forcing anything on anyone, but we want to hear and learn and do better. So, bonsoir tout le monde et bienvenue sur Diaspora Channel. Merci encore d'être au rendez-vous ce soir. J'espère que vous passez un bon week-end. Je suis Kaï Gabiam et si c'est votre première fois sur ma chaîne, surtout, n'oubliez pas, s'il vous plaît, de vous abonner parce que je ne veux pas que vous ratez ces lives parce que c'est très, très important qu'on discute, que nous discutons des problèmes qu'on rencontre ici dans la diaspora. Donc, c'est ce qu'on fait chaque samedi, 7 heures. Je vais vous encourager tous à nous appeler si vous pouvez ou simplement il faut commenter dans le chat. On veut entendre, on veut savoir ce que vous pensez. Donc ce soir, la discussion, on va parler des rôles et responsabilités des femmes ou bien d'une femme. Et comme nous le savons tous, la femme est la mère d'une nation. La femme, elle nous donne vie. Et c'est elle qui nous donne la vie. Et il y a beaucoup de choses qu'on ne peut pas réaliser sur cette terre si il n'y a pas des femmes tout autour des hommes. Donc, c'est très important que nous comprenions nos rôles en tant que femmes et aussi entendre ce que nos hommes, nos frères veulent réellement, afin que on arrive tous à régler nos problèmes et à vivre en harmonie. Donc, c'est très, très, très important. N'oubliez surtout pas de liker ce live et aussi partager. Et je vous invite vivement à participer aussi. So, guys, tonight is going to be very, very straightforward, simple family discussions. And I thank you all for tuning in. Kindly share this stream if you can and give it a thumbs up because we're going to hear from both male and females. But mainly we're going to hear more from the women first because we're looking at, the roles and responsibilities of a woman. So, what does it mean to be a woman according to, let's say just the dictionary. Let's put it like that. So it's being a woman means being able to be powerful, assertive, yet kind at the same time. It means being compassionate, vulnerable towards those we love in our lives without feeling weak for doing so. It means striving for our goals, even in the face of the adversity we may encounter along the way. And as you guys know, we women, we have multiple roles. So, I'm just going to say few for now. So the one is, a woman assume multiple responsibilities and roles as daughters, wife, mothers, workers, and members of society. As a daughter, a woman is traditionally responsible for taking care of her parents. As a wife, she's expected to serve her husband, preparing food, clothes, and other personal needs. So we know that women, we do a lot. Yeah, I'm not saying that men don't put a lot in either, but we do a lot. And as you guys know, they say, it takes a great, strong, powerful woman first. We're going to lead into the next point, which is behind every successful and great man. They say there is a strong woman. So right behind that woman, there is the wife of that man. So for me, it's actually two women we're talking about. The first one is the mother of that boy that will grow up to become a man. So it's very, very important as a woman, a mother. You pour so much greatness into that baby boy of yours. So when he grow up, he's already loaded with greatness in him. And if he meets, along the way, the right person, another strong, let's say strong woman, that will be the one that will help him as a man to build a legacy that generation after generation will be talking about. So it's very, very important for us women, to know and stay in our roles. So I'm going to add right now, I can see Ryan and Carlita right here in the back. So background, I'm going to add them right now on the screen. So Carlita first, hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm
Hey,
doing great. Thanks so much. How are you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Glad to see you again.
Awesome. Same here. Such a joy, to see you both here, with us tonight. And, we are talking about the roles and responsibilities of women. You know, like I said before adding you on the screen with me, we play, a massive, huge roles when it comes to nation building. Let's put it like that. So I'm going to address my question first to Carlita. I hope that's the right pronunciation of your name. As first a daughter, a wife, and a mother, what would you say are some of the roles and responsibilities for women?
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Some of the roles, as a woman, we have many roles. Some people say we wear many hats, but first and foremost, you need to be a safe space for your husband so that he is able to be comforted when he has to deal with the world. And of course, providing love and as much stability for the home. We have various roles when it comes to our duties as a wife. Then we flow as a partner as we're parenting, but then a partner when we're dealing with our extended family, and then the community, and even more so in our businesses. So it is a very important role that I take seriously, but I do realize that it's multifaceted and it comes with a lot of different channels that I have to play.
Awesome. Well put together. And, we're going to dig deeper as, I'm going to add another female guest right now on so we can also hear from her. But Ryan, don't worry, we're going to come back to you. We're going to come back to you. So, yeah.
No worries.
Welcome, beautiful Ursula. How are you doing? You can unmute yourself.
Oh, are we?
You
Hey,
good?
how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you and
I'm very
Franklin
good.
doing?
We're good, thank you. We're
Good,
good.
thank you. Thank you for having us on. Thank you.
You're
It's a pleasure.
welcome. So Priscilla, what we're going to do today. Last week we talked about, we try to hear from them, the man them. We try to hear from them what are their roles and responsibilities. So to have a family strong structure that is very strong and be that best example for the next generation, our children. We women also need to know and emphasize more on our roles so the younger girls that will be watching can also learn, and even us women, we can learn from one another. So go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us what you think are some of the roles and responsibility of a woman.
Okay, well, my name's Asla Inganadi. I'm one half of Black Male TV, and this is the other half here. Right, the roles as a woman. I obviously, as Charlita said, like a woman's role is multifaceted, and I think that the role of my understanding as a woman now and my role of my understanding as a woman when I was younger are two different things. So I think a lot of the time when we're giving advice to women, we have to let them know that as much as what we have different roles, those roles do change and adapt with time. And maybe the role you held as a woman, a younger woman, would be much different to how you would as an older woman. For me personally, I know my mindset when I was younger, always towards marriage, always towards unity, that was always clear. But when you're in marriage, you then really understand what those roles are. And I think then you really evolve and know yourself as a character as a woman, depending on how much you go into those roles, you know? And I think a lot of, I'll be honest, maybe I do see a lot of women in these times, there's a misunderstanding of what our roles are. And then if you're very clear as to what a woman's role is, I think there's a lot of pushback as to what those roles are, because I find a lot of women don't even like the term roles. It's seen as it's something that's, you know, it's negative, it's a hindrance. Whereas I know within my dynamic and our family construct, roles are very important to us. And I think as women, if we really understand what our roles are, we can really grow in those roles as opposed to fighting those roles. So that's my understanding of it.
Absolutely, because it's very, very important for, you know, like I say, the young girls out there to know that, you know, once, because we have our own vision of relationship, marriage, you know, and think things are just rosy once you meet, you know, Brother Franklin, everything will just going to be in play. You know, Kalita will be just in Alice in Wonderland, you know, she's with Ryan. So, you know, that's most of the time, that's the picture we have. But once you step in that role of, you know, as maybe a partner or wife, wow, no matter how much you love that person, bro, frankly, you know, there are lots of things involved.
I know you say me like I'm some troublemaker, you know.
He is a troublemaker.
So you know, that's why I'm so happy sitting here, you know, with amazing people like yourself, you know, to hear what you have to say. And you know, some of you guys, you know, the two beautiful couples here, you know, you've been married for years, so we can hear and learn from you guys. So honestly, my first question I would throw, and let me see if we still have, you know, we have another person in the background that I can add. But I'm going to ask Brother Franklin now, like, what is that thing, you know, that, you know, because in life you meet different people. Let's just be honest.
Right.
Way before you still across your path. But what is that thing like you find you like,
What's the thing?
what I've been waiting for?
That's a very good question. That's a very good question. And I guess that thing, I don't like using that term, you know what I'm saying? Because obviously from the West, in the West, we grew up from a predominantly westernized view, you know, with movies and pop culture telling us how relationships are supposed to be and how it's supposed to, you know. So for me, I wouldn't like to say that thing, you know, or that, you know, I mean, that one, you know, for me, that's a cliche. And yeah, life's not like that, you know. So life has gray areas and different things like that. So for me, it was,
that's true.
I knew what I wanted in a woman, you know. And I was a bit of a playboy when I was younger. I'm gonna be honest with you, and I'm sure my wife will tell you as well. So, you know, from what I heard around and what was going on, I was so well, you know, I knew I wanted to get married, but when I looked around, I wasn't seeing women of marriageable material, you know. And so when we say that thing, or you know, so to speak, it's not one thing; it's a number of things. You know, it's when I was looking for a woman, it's first of all, am I sexually attracted to this woman? Is there a thing that's going to keep that chemistry alive. You see what I'm saying? Outside of everything else, right? And then that's number one. Then to add to that is this woman intelligent? Is this woman caring? Is this woman loving? Does this woman take care of the home? How does she view family? How does she view having children? What are her views about society as a whole in general? You know, what are her views about how Black men are treated in society? Because I'm a Black man and I'm going to be real. And what happens in society to Black men is I need a woman that's conscious of that and awake to that. So, because again, as Sister Colita said, a woman is meant to, she's meant to be there to relieve tension from her husband, from the things that go on in the world. And what I found was that a lot of women weren't conscious or in tune with that. What I found in Ursula, however, was on the complete opposite to that, which was what took me aback. Yeah, because she was able to have those conversations, the in-depth, deep conversations. We often say, you know, we dated, we were friends for a long period of time in our initial stages because there was so much conversations to be had, and we used to be up late talking about the world, talking about society, talking about children, talking about marriage, talking about culture, and you know, outside of the physical attraction, you see what I'm saying? Those other things is what, yeah, you know what, yeah, that's this is the one, so to speak, you know. But again, for me as a young man, I'm like, well, marriage is like, oh my gosh, it's that thing where I grew up where men say generally, not all men, but some men, the joke narrative is, or you know, once you get married, you give up your life. You know, if you want to have happy life, happy wife. So let your wife do what she wants, and then you get a happy life. And I didn't agree with that because I'm like, what if I didn't want to do that? So you should have said, you know, I was always fought with that conflict. But when I met Ursula, and when we got to the point where she looked at me straight dead in the face and she was like, babes, we've been dating for a while now, and I love you. You know, I think I have deep feelings for you, and I want to take this to the next level. But if you're not ready to take this to this next level, then we're cutting this dead. This is over, and we're not doing this anymore.
He makes it sound so well.
I'll see you later, right?
He makes it sound
No, this is my time now. You don't have to say nothing. So I was sitting there, I'm like, now this is quite interesting. Now I've had other women say that to me before, you know, you better do this, you better do that. But this time was different because she had all these other qualities and all these other different aspects to her that I was like, is it worth me losing that versus going out in the world and playing the field till the cows come home, goodness knows when, right? And I'm being real and I'm being genuinely honest out here. You know, that one thing that we speak of in the real form and in real life, that takes form as, you know what, this woman has these amazing qualities. She's a beautiful woman. She's an intelligent woman. She's grounded. She comes from a good family. And you know what? I want to have that as my wife. So when I'm portraying that, my children, my marriage and my household looks a certain way. My marriage and my household functions a certain way. My children, etc., etc. So when you weigh that up, it's like, it's a no-brainer. You see what I'm saying? You're like, well, you know, you definitely got to go down that road, you know. And when she put that ultimatum to me, it was like, well, son, you got to buck up and man up. And I guess that's when
can you repeat that, please? Yeah,
you gotta
people out there, they've been hearing that for ages, but they think, oh, you know, I still got it, you know, that kind of thing. When there is nothing going on except the age is just adding up, but they think, oh, I got this. So just repeat that for those one, you know.
So I'm repeating that for my sister, for all you fellas out there, my brothers out there. When you come to that point, you gotta put up, you gotta buck up, and you gotta man up. And that's the reality of it. You know what I'm saying? And you've got to, you always think the grass is greener on the other side, but my sister is right. You're only getting older. And what I found is I got bored of the same thing over and go to the club and go get some drinks. And, you know, some people, for them, that's great. And they'll do that to they're 90. But for those of us who are more, you know, real, grounded, you know, and all the rest of it, not saying they're not, but for those of us who want other things, that becomes monotonous, and you're like, well, I don't want that anymore. I want something real and meaningful. I want to make a connection. I want to leave something behind. I want to build something with somebody. You see what I'm saying? That's long lasting, that leaves children and legacy and heritage. You see what I'm saying? So your focus changes as a man. As a young man, you're not thinking about those things. Yeah, it's in the back of your mind. When I get older, you know, and that's where that age chasing thing comes in, where you're chasing the age because you're like, when I get older. but you are getting older. But you're playing around and you want to stay young. I feel young. I feel, So for me, that's where it was. That was it. That moment.
Awesome. Thanks so much for, being honest and share that with us because like I say this every Saturday, we are not here to force anything down anyone's throat. We are here as family having a discussions. So we're going to hear from our brothers are Muslim, some of them are Christian, some of them, are embracing, our African religion. We are not here to force anything down anyone's throat, but is to hear from different brothers and sisters and pick what we can pick and embrace those things to bring the change we need within our community and within, in our own household. So thanks so much for being honest. And I'm going to throw this question right at Mr. Ryan. So, I would love to hear your story.
Well, interesting. So my perspective on the roles and such, to understand the story would kind of makes it difficult for me to explain it in the sense of how I can verify anything. So to understand this, I met my wife when she was 16 and I was 17.
Right.
And yeah, so we've known each other that long. And the first night that I met her at 17, I discussed that we were going to be married eventually.
Wow.
So don't ask me what I knew at that moment. I don't know, but something told me she was the one. But beyond that, I guess from a more of a reasonable approach and just saying what my life experience was and how I see it, I grew up in a single house. It was just me and my mother since I was about 9. So all I had ever been witness to was pure strength from woman. So when it comes to responsibilities and roles, I watched a woman be everything. So to me, it wasn't based predicated on gender. It's predicated on your ability. Like what are you a what am I good at? What is she good at? I'm responsible for the things I'm good at. She's responsible for things she's good. And my expectation of her was very high based on my relationship with my mother, just how she did. But once I met her and then met her family and met how she was moving and her thoughts, and this is us at 16 and 17, right before college. We had a lot of good conversations, and I saw that strength in her, that same strength. So it was a very easy decision. I was looking for a level of strength that said you could do it all, not that you could do some, that you could do it all. That's what I grew up around, and so be it. I met my wife, like I said, 16. We decided, but after time of knowing each other through college years and going past, we just discovered a lot about each other, and then eventually got married, of course. But like I said, when the marriage started and roles, I guess, started to come up, it really was based on who did what best, in the moment. So she's been a teacher for a lot of for years. So when it comes to teaching our children, she takes the lead. I follow. So it's her responsibility, her role to teach, because she is great at it. And why would I step in front of that? When it's time to take the kids to go play some sports that I coach, I take them and go, I do the coaching. That's what I'm good at. So we have our both things, but I don't think of roles as defined by gender. I feel like they're defined by ability. And if you're fortunate, like Franklin and myself, you'll end up with a wife who has the ability to do a lot of things. So maybe a lot of roles are on her because she can do stuff. But she's been maybe her role is to think about what those roles should be and let me just I just cruise my direction and knock into walls until she gets me straight and where I'm supposed to go, where I'm supposed to be. So her role is to deal with me so I can do what I need to do.
Yeah,
but no, seriously.
And it's a powerful role when the way you just put it, because that's why it says clearly, behind a successful, strong man there is always what? A strong wife. Let's put it like that. after the mother, of course. So it's so important that our brothers and us as well, we understand the dynamic, how things work. It's not just one person, telling everyone what to do, which direction to take. No, you can just hear from Ryan, if you don't mind sharing, how long have you guys been together, like married?
Man, how am I now? Good gracious.
You just told everybody. You told everybody before we had to go celebrate. She wants to know how long we've known each other and how long we've been married.
We've known each other. My math. I'm a programmer. I'm not good at math. Isn't that crazy? So we've known each other since 17. So that's, geez, 21. No,
we've known each
31
other.
years?
30.
30 years? Oh my gosh, I'm getting old, people.
We're way too old. Please don't do that.
Wow.
I don't want to do no more math. See, that's the point. We're like one person now. See, she's responsible for answering all the real questions.
That's right.
And I hope our sisters in the chat are also taking notes whilst the brothers, the men on this panel are dropping some good tips when it comes to choosing a life partner. There are certain things. It's more than the look. It's more than the beautiful smile. Because in real life, when you two are locked in the house, after the honeymoon, hey, it's another story.
Oh, it is. Oh, it is.
Of course.
Can I just say something, Babes? Do you know what? I think you said something quite important about look at life partners. I don't think a lot of women, when they're dating, are looking at life partners. A lot of women, when they're going into dating and things like that, they're not thinking. I find, I'll speak for here in the UK and based around what we see. When I was growing up, we grew up with a lot of girls just wanting to be in relationships. Do you see what I'm saying? And just assuming that you'll be in relationships forever. And I grew up with a lot of, 1 minute they're in a relationship, next minute they're not. They love this guy, then they're in the next relationship, all of a sudden they love him again. And for me, that was quite an interesting concept because it was like, can you love everybody? For me personally. And then culturally, when growing up, because I had I had a strict African mother, but my dad was very soft because we're all daddy's girls, yeah? But we were technically, there was no mention of boys in our household till at least 18. That was just it. So there was no boyfriend.
What did you say? What did you just say? The reason why I want to hear you repeating that is just because Boris Kodjo, I know maybe some of you might know him, some probably know. He's an actor. And he was saying on Wendy Williams' show only this week, when Wendy was like, oh, the daughter is 16, so when boys are coming around, he just stop him there, like where I'm from, though the mom is German, I think, and the dad is Ghanaian. He just said no, not in our house.
Yes, there was no mention of that. It was, I mean, coming culturally, obviously, like my brothers could technically, like when he was younger, there was kind of girls or whatever, but for us as ladies, it just wasn't any of that. So even when we grew up, I grew up being able to have relationships and dynamics and friendships with males without being something where there was intimacy involved. And I think that's also quite crucial because I find a lot of women don't have and don't know how to have just platonic relationships, or even if relationships where there's attraction involved, they don't know how to necessarily gauge. I mean, obviously, we're not all Ryan and Charlita, where at 17 you meet the love of your life, which is great. I love that. But at the end of the day, it's like a lot of women aren't thinking. Now, I grew up in a household where marriage was, it's just what is. I've grown up around, everybody I know is married, we grow up to be married. Being African, we have more than one wedding. We have a traditional ceremony and we have the obviously the legal ceremony. So marriage is something that is so important for us. So when we were growing up in the West and we were in schools with girls and it was just all about relationships, straight away we were aware of a different culture because I couldn't just be coming home to my dad and talking about the boy I liked in school. It just, you didn't do that. Do you see what I mean? So
Yeah.
we grew up with actual friendships and connections, and I had a younger brother. So once again,
Right.
in roles, I'm an older sister. How I carry myself, how I behave, it ripples down. So I think that's really important in terms of when women are having relationships. I started relationships knowing that even when I was allowed to date, you're dating, if that makes sense. You know, it wasn't necessarily this is who you're dating and this is who you are going. There was always the dating period. And if you're dating, you're supposed to date people which are eligible, which are of a, do you see what I'm saying?
Suitable caliber.
Whether that's of which match your own principles and ideologies, but either way, you're meant to find people which are good suitors. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's the mindset I grew up with. That's the attitude. So now when it came to dating, I understood that, okay, I'm now a woman, I'm dating. I know marriage is something, it's a definite for me. We grew up with women that said things like, oh, I don't need a man, or I don't want to get married. And things like that just don't make sense to me. Do you see what I'm saying? But I grew up with the understanding of, no, okay, well, now I'm a woman. Now I'm at that stage where I'm allowed to date. Do you see what I'm saying? And even though we were dating, it wasn't like you could come home and say to my mum, oh, mummy, this is my boyfriend. It was still like, oh, mum, this is my friend. Like when Franklin was introduced to my parents for years as my friend. Do you see what I'm saying? Even though it was, it might have been obvious.
And we met in our 20s.
Even though it was obvious, like we were dating and things. So when I then started dating, I now understood there's a certain level to which, if this is not you think is your husband, going to be your husband, there's a certain level to which you give, there's a certain level to which you show, there's a certain level
and withhold.
And withhold, to be honest, so that you always still have something for your husband. I don't know if this seems very archaic for many people now, but I'm a firm believer that I see a lot of women having just all experiences, and I'm talking about all kinds of emotional experiences, physical experiences, life experiences with people, and they're not really ideally suited. They're not really, do you see what I'm saying? So I just think, for me personally, I'm thankful for my cultural upbringing. I think there has to be an element of that cultural mindset which is applied in these modern times, because a lot of our sisters, unfortunately, don't have necessarily the tools or the belief that relationships like ours can exist, that there are paradigms like this that do work. But then once again, I believe if you actually tell a lot of women now what you have to do or what it takes to fulfill those of your roles in marriage, what it takes to, you know, to be there for your husband, whilst also understanding that you have your needs, when it comes to the fact of you're now in a situation of, it's a continuous sacrifice, it's a continuous self-sacrifice. Do you see what I'm saying? If you tell a lot of these women these things, they won't want to do that. They won't want to. It is too much hard work because our roles are this. We can't only just have the roles of like, we are women, we are everything, if the counterpart isn't there. Do you see what I'm saying? And I know not everybody has that. I know they don't, but I think things like this are good because it reinforces to people that there are good relationships. There are men out there, and it's not about perfection, but we grow. Like Ryan and Charlize, they've grown together. Frank and I have grown together. I'm not the same Ursula I was when I met him when I was in uni. You see what I'm saying? I'm just not. And he's far from the same person he is. So there's a growth that happens, and you've got to give time for growth. But a lot of people are just living now, wanting it now. It's like you're planting the seeds, but you want the harvest right now. And relationships, they just don't work like that. Do you see what I'm saying? But you have to, even if you get a bad harvest, you still got to be at it the next time. Do you see what I mean? You have to keep going, and that's all I would say to women. It's like, when you get in this marriage thing, that line isn't always that clear as what you think. Maybe in your well, if it's not working like this, or if it's not like this, then I'm not going to accept that. And when you really get into a situation where it's about partnership and life partners, and it's about caring for somebody else's spirit and their soul, and like how their mind thinks, how their body works. When you get into that level, yeah, it's a completely different role.
I completely agree with Fabi, because anyway, the link is in the chat. If you want to call in, we want to hear more for the ladies first. More, we want to know today is about the ladies, our roles and responsibilities, because it seems like, you know, nowadays some women don't even know what supposed to be their roles. Even when they have, you know, a child, a male child, you know, there are certain things that you don't even say or do around that male child, simply because that child is going to grow up to become a man one day. And it's always very, very important as mothers to remember that you are raising someone's husband. That's very, very important. So, you know, they don't grow up and go out there and treat women anyhow. So that's why, and that's just one thing, right? And the next one is those out there. There are some people out there, though, you know, we don't follow them, that'll say, oh, someone will boldly open her mouth and say, oh, I don't clean, I don't cook, I got the ring. Like, you know, there are just some traditional things, traditional roles for women. That's just how it is. But I'm not saying men don't do the same, because it's just reserved only for women. So it's so important for us to come back to reality, you know, and not let those things just blind us and, you know, make us like deaf. We can't even realize that, oh, this thing that we are even listening to is not going to take us anywhere. So we have to sit down and be honest with one another. And for those, the sad part is the young girls that don't know life, that don't know what it takes to be a woman, listening to someone like that, think, oh, well, you know, you say, oh, clean, do this. They will be like, oh, but I don't need to know all that. No, you do. Before even you think about being someone's, you know, a wife one day, a life partner one day, you have to know certain things. That's just how, like, that's how things works. And saying that, I would love to hear from our men as well, because especially here in the diaspora, there is certain things that we don't have the privilege we have in Africa. We don't. Like, I will share where I come from. At least we have at least 2 help in the house, at least 2. So, you know, my mom, she still cooks. She'll do a bit, you know, some cleaning here and there, but that didn't prevent her to make sure I know how to do those things though we have, you know, those extra help around the house. And now, the reason why I want us, you know, to have a balanced conversations and hear from our brothers is because we are not in Africa and we have to wake up. People who go to work, women who go to work, long hours, come back, the food is already in the fridge, you cross your legs in front of TV watching Arsenal versus Manchester, you can't go and warm the food. You're like, where's my food? Like, no, we have to change those things, guys. Though we want to hear from you today, we still need to work on those things. So, Pharaoh, you are here with us. You're very, very welcome. And thanks so much for always supporting, you know, our family discussion, joining the stream each time. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Kind of difficult night tonight. I see Brother Ryan there with his queen. I see Brother Frank there with his queen. Look, the queens, they're majestically sitting on the left. But look at my left, it's empty.
Pharaoh, sorry, I'm not laughing at you. It's just what you said. Sorry, but go ahead.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
You know, we always do our thing. This is one of the chances where we can get to empower our people, spread our knowledge, try to promote our culture. It was a very sensitive topic. And Brother Frank made a remark. It's not just the beauty of the woman. She has to be conscious. she has to be conscious, because talking about some of these relationships, you have to understand the position where the Black man occupies. How do they see us Black people? So you need a woman that is versed with all these things. Okay, it's equally your responsibility to teach her. But if you're privileged to meet up with one that's already conscious, then you reap the blessings. And then my sister Ursula said, sometimes people just put down the seeds and they expect a harvest instantly. The relationship goals, they come over time. It's patience, and then you wait for the time for the crop to grow. You nurse it, you look after it, the flower, and then you get what you get the yields. And then even if you have a poor harvest, there is always another time to try again, maybe get a hybrid, upgrade your seeds, and do what you didn't do. So to change the results, to change the output. Like I said, it's a very sensitive topic. And then our host, Sister Kai, you did talk about the diaspora and maybe the failures or some of the achievements that predominantly happen in the diaspora. Because if we are to talk about the role of women, and then let's say if I'm to cover the diaspora, because in Africa, we've got little or no marital problems or relationship problems as we have in the diaspora. There is, of course, it's higher here in the diaspora. We got all this single parentage where the families don't meet at all. I'm not saying they don't happen in Africa, but at least the kids, they still grow up together. Just because you had a child out of wedlock, you wasn't married to the mom, the child still goes to the grandparents, they still visit the cousins and all of that. Africa is always that unit, and then they always try to keep that unit intact, irrespective of marital status, whether the parents were married or not. So we've grown. And then Sister Kaidi talk about some privileges in Africa. She missed this one. In Africa, you can knock on the neighbor's door, put your child in there, and then go to a nightclub. You just go to your neighbor, knock on the door, send your child in, and then you go to the nightclub. There is no fear. There is, even in the morning, you can come back. You don't need to go pick the child. You come back, you can have a shower and sleep. Because there in Africa is our children, it's a community, it's a communal thing. So it's a community that brings up the child. So we have no discrimination. We just look after each other. And then we teach. You don't only teach your children in the evening. I remember my neighbor was a teacher, so we used to have evening classes. So it was all the kids at a certain age, they will gather, and then we'll have maths and we'll have English and literature and all of that. So, but it's very different here. So now we go into the role. I've got three simple principles. I know it might not favor some of us, but I was privileged. I had two. The role of a woman, the three women in your life: your mom, your daughter, a girl child, and your wife. So regardless of how we put it, these are the three most important people in our lives. It's a fact. So there was your mother. Then there is, if you have a girl child, which I'm privileged. Fortunately, I've got two. And then your wife. I haven't got one at the moment, but in the not too distant future, things might change. Okay. Now, it talks about this role. They're very, very simple. They're very, very simple. I believe humans should be equipped with the right mindset first, your frame of mind, your state of mind before you engage, before you indulge in the things you want to indulge. So are you ready for a family? Are you ready? It's a commitment. It's going to be, it will be a welfare. Because sometimes I believe separations occur because the partners don't conform. The woman might not conform. A woman is living with a man, but she still fancies the nightclub kind of life. So obviously, whatever stage you enter, as soon as you enter into a different echelon, then you have to conform. You have to adapt to the changes equipped within that echelon. So now you're no longer single. So you've moved in with your partner or a husband. Then you have to conform and commit to a family life. So it's about responsibility now, looking after your man or looking after your woman, and then looking after the kids. So we get a situation where some men, they're married, but they're always out. They still drink and they still go out and do funny things like when they were single. Likewise, some women. So, but because the topic tonight is really going to be about the role of our queens or the role of our women, I've got some very simple points to put across. be in the right frame of mind. Be in the right frame of mind. Know what you want. Have it planned. And then if you're ready, I remember sometimes growing up many years back in this country, I used to watch the Jeremy Kyle. I remember a quote from him. I know some of you might not like the show. I remember some quote from him. He used to say, and I quote, "There's nothing wrong in being single. There's nothing wrong in being single." So, okay, for you to engage or for you to indulge, try and understand what your partner wants. Try to understand what the man wants. So if you understand what the man, okay, let's say we African families, 98% of the time, or the black families, 90%, 98%, I should say, let me, no empirical finding is 100%. So let me say 98% of the times, when we pick a queen, is our main goal is trying to build a family. So I think our queen, first and foremost, you have to conform with that. So this man has picked me. He wants to build a family. So it's a privilege, maybe it's a blessing, and it's a calling. It's a call. Because we men, we go out, we do our things, we work, and then sometimes you'll be sleeping and you'll be maybe relaxing on the sofa, and then a gentle voice will just tell you, "Oh, Pharaoh," or "Hey, my brother Frank, you need a woman." It's a call. I understand our parents coming from Africa, our parents will be like, "Oh, don't you think you're too old? You need a woman to cook for you. You need a woman to wash your clothes." Yeah, you say, "Mommy, I've been thinking about it. Mommy, I've been thinking about it." But there will be that time where you'll be arrested. I don't know, maybe some people will say by the Holy Spirit or by an ancestral spirit, but that day will come where you want to enact that change. And then men are I know maybe some of our queens might not like this. Men are very selective. Men are very, very selective. They go through a list. Well, especially some men that have multiple partners or multiple girlfriends. Having a girlfriend is easy. Getting married to one is not easy. So I would tell my queens, if this king has picked you, it's a kind of a privilege. He believes he can continue his generation with you. He believes it's like you winning a contest, winning the X Factor. There are thousands of participants, thousands of singers, but somehow you've won, winning the World Cup. Many countries did participate. You've won it.
Pharaoh, I think right there is both ways. So yeah, keep going.
Pharaoh's gonna get in trouble with your viewers, you know.
Keep going.
Okay, so the kings pick this woman that he thinks or he wants the woman to be the queen and build a family with the man. So, okay. So when this woman comes, we hear complaints. "Oh, he's limited me into the kitchen. I cook, I clean, he stays at home, he watches TV." I mean, complaints from the diaspora. Complaints from the diaspora. I understand in Africa, we class it the norm. But are the roles of our queens in the white man's country or in the white man's land or in the diaspora has changed, because our queens, they've deviated from their culture. We understand a lot of African queens now in the diaspora to get into the kitchen and serve their kings becomes a problem because they've watched too many movies. They're on social media. People come and share their experiences. It's a movie. Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt, that's Hollywood. It's fictional, computers. In real life, it don't happen. We see these celebrities, they live a jet set type of life. It's in the magazines. It's on social media. Practically, they argue, they quarrel, they fight, they disagree. They don't cover those sections in the papers or in the magazines or in the movies. We only see them while they're camping on holiday, they buy convertible cars, they dress exotic, and they advertise expensive perfumes. And then, of course, we idolize and we dream of that sort of a lifestyle. And then sometimes some of our African sisters, they push their husbands, so they push their partners into doing the unthinkable. Into doing the unthinkable, because sometimes the I remember in some cultures in Africa, it is even believed you must make money before you get married. And then we still, in most African cultures or some African cultures now, like the women, as my sister was saying, they want a situation where you plant the seeds and then you just want the benefit immediately, instantly. That's why some of the relationships in the diaspora, they crack, which it will take me again back to what I stand for, your culture. It is your role, your responsibility. If you are married to this king and he gives you a kitchen, use that kitchen and make it your castle. Use it and raise your family. In the long run, you're going to benefit. You're going to have a stable family. The kid's going to call you dad. The kid's going to call mom. There'll be no mixing, no interference, and then everybody will be stable. Every family needs a head. So I believe the role of our African queens is to conform within that family planning, is to conform within the welfare and the family life. You understand it's a situation where you need to make your family. Regardless of what you two go through, always communicate. Nothing lasts forever. The Nigerians, they will say no condition is permanent. It's only a trial moment. So some of the big celebrities and other people, they have their own fair share of problems. But now there's a potential difference. It's how you can handle a problem. You quarrel with your missus, you quarrel with the wife, is how you deal with it. It's not just to quarrel with the missus and then you take a very drastic decision and then the relationship might crack. So I think our women, you should be very patient. Be very patient with the African kings. Things will come. And most importantly, be very patient with somebody that's doing their very best in trying to maybe upgrade or change their lives. If you're very patient, believe it or not, I know some very successful women, it's a high rate, very successful women, they had that breakthrough because they were patient. If we go back to some of these billionaires and they're sharing you their stories, and then he'll say, like my brother there, Ryan, they always come up with these stories. I met her when I was 17. I met her when I was 16. Or I met her when she was 13 at the time and I was 14 or I was 15. So we can emulate from these things. So the women, they never left them. The man was struggling. He was maybe on job seekers allowance. He was on benefit. Maybe today he owns 50 companies. And then they will share these stories. He will say, I'll give my credit, I'll give thanks to my woman. She's my queen. She stood by me when I had nothing. She was with me. In Cameroon, stretch of my sister should know this as well. In Cameroon, in the Western region, they believe your wife is wealth. They believe a woman is wealth. So as soon as you have a woman, they believe it can make or it can break you. Somehow, within that culture, I strongly believe when you see behind any successful man is a woman. I strongly believe. So first, the role of a woman, she controls the finances. She controls the finances. She will make a list what they will buy. The kids, they need to change their men. They will provide. That is a family is a woman's thing. We just like a beacon. We just like a guys. They've just maybe they just said this to us so we feel powerful. We are not. The power of any home is the woman. It's not the man. It's the woman. So they have this because they control everything. They know when, like my daughter, the mom can easily tell when she's going to run out of maybe credit. Maybe I don't know. They know, okay, we'll eat this on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we eat that. They've planned it in advance. But we men, sometimes we come back, we just make sure we provide. We don't know if we're eating ripe plantain today, pounded yam or potato. We just do that. A woman plans that. That's the family planning. It's their role. Women, I understand there's some exceptional cases. I said this last time, we can never look after children like women. That is why there is a law. Unless otherwise, it's very rare to take a child and put it with the father. Very, very. So I still commend my brother there, Frank. It's a very, very, because naturally, scientifically, it's been proven. The child stays with the mother. Biologically, it's been proven. Women are the best parents in life. It's been proven. So all of this is their role. I would say it's law by nature. We never designed these things. We did not design these things. I believe it's designed by the divine. It's designed by the divine. So you take your advantage and then bring it into your family. Bring your advantage and make it count. So we understand some African women today in the diaspora, as soon as they acquire that nursing degree, instead of it being a blessing into the household, it becomes a problem. And the friends, they say to her, oh, you qualified now, you registered nurse. And then he only works in a warehouse. He only works in a warehouse. Leave him. Get somebody better. Get a doctor. Maybe. And then some stupid African women, some of my stupid African sisters, they listen. And today they were in their 40s. The doctor is not coming. Cristiano Ronaldo is not coming. Tom Cruise is not even around. Brad Pitt is not coming.
Pero we're going to go into certain things you say that I necessarily don't agree with. So,
Okay.
but I'm going, of course. And yeah, you did say some, but still, you know, we have to be still respectful towards, you know, the sisters. You know, that's my team. So obviously, but yeah, as like I said, some other things. But we have Efia here. I'm going to add her on since you know we are digging deep into the roles and responsibilities of women. All right, Efia, how are you?
I'm not too bad. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight. And you know, we started a little bit earlier, but I'm sure you know exactly why we are all sitting here is to have this conversation. So some of us can also learn, and even the younger one as well, because some people, you know, they believe and say it loud that they don't clean, they don't cook, but they got the ring. So there will be some young girls out there that will be in the fairy tale dreaming land and think, oh, you know, I can do anything, you know, and then I will be fine. But it's very important for us, you know, the little bit older one, to teach them, to share with them what we know so far in this journey called life, so they can also learn from us. So there is one thing, if you're actually during our parenting conversation, you know, sometimes some years back, actually, yeah, then you say something very powerful that I already said here. It's very important for us women, mothers, to know that if you have a baby boy that you and the dad, you both are raising together, or you are raising him by yourself, you have to always understand and have at the back of your mind that this boy will be someone's husband one day. And that is so powerful. So why did you make that statement? Can you expand on that?
Sure. I think when you know, my husband and I, we have 3 children, 2 boys and 1 girl, and the girl's the baby. And our eldest is 7, soon to be 8, and our second son is 6. And our approach when it comes to parenting is very much that we are parenting with the end goal in mind. And so we are very much mindful of the fact that one day these men are potentially going to be someone's husband, someone's father. They're going to be leaders within the home. They're going to be leaders within their community. And that's not something to be taken lightly. And I always say it, I say it in jest, but I do actually mean it. I don't want any woman coming to complain to me, you know, and because of the groundwork that wasn't done properly. And so, you know, I always make sure that I'm thinking about her in mind. You know, I'm thinking about what it is that I would want in my husband, you know, and so I think it's important that he knows how to cook. I think it's important that he knows how to be a gentleman. I think it's important that he knows how to respect women. I think it's important that he knows how to govern his emotions and his feelings. You know, these are all things that I'm parenting with thinking of his potential wife in mind and being considerate of her. and therefore you know, whatever it is that I'm depositing into my sons, I'm teaching them with that vision and with that end goal directing me and navigating all that I'm speaking, all that I'm trying to impart into them.
Thanks so much, Efia, for sharing that, you know, with us, because as mothers, though we know that the male child going to learn so much from their dad, which is going to be, you know, who is the role model in that child life first. But as the women, the mothers, we have a massive, massive, massive role to play. You mentioned cooking, you mentioned, I think, cleaning, you mentioned certain things. So, you know, especially where we are here in the West, we don't have the privilege to have house, you know, help in the house.
Yeah.
There are cleaners out there, but you have to pay them on weekly basis to come, maybe £10 an hour to touch certain things, and then they are out.
Yeah.
So if you know, even if you are African man living on this part of the planet, you really have to wake up from your slumber and understand the dynamics. Like, you know, you have to do something to help your wife, your partner, because it's not because she is the, you know, the female in the house that she's going to do everything that we normally say these are what women supposed to do, or these are some of the roles of women. So, you know, I really, really want our brothers to understand this. We you know, we want to be with our brothers, and it's not something that is not doable, because for people that joined the stream earlier, you can see Ryan and Carlita. You can see still we have BLK Mel TV here with us today. Efia is here, the husband is not here, but you can see that it's doable. You don't need to go outside necessarily. If that's your choice, that's you. You know, I'm not condemning you, but you don't have to go outside your race to be happy and to have a successful, you know, life. No, you can do it both with, you know, someone looking like you, looking like your dad for the girls, and still have a successful, you know, marriage. So that's why we are having this type of discussions, because we have to understand what are the problem. Why are the you know, the rate of the divorce is very, very high within our communities. So we are doing certain things not the right way. That's why we are finding ourselves in this kind of situations. So we need to understand that we don't live in Africa. This is for my brothers. Love and respect you all, but we have to understand that it's not right for a man, you know, number one, you know, it's so beautiful to say I'm the head of the house. Beautiful woman. You are the head of the house, but where you live, you go to work. In most households, the woman also goes to work. That alone changed a lot of things already in the household. So she'll go maybe work 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours. She's putting in, you are putting in. So we are just, you know, asking you men out there that are not, you know, you are still believing maybe you live in Africa because you are a man. I just want, please, I'm begging you just to get that out of your head, because you are not in Africa. So you can't expect the woman, and you don't say to her, darling, you know what? I'm the head of this house. I'll be signing this check to you every single week. Sit down and look after the house. You are not doing that either. And we are not bashing you for that, because it's the dynamic of where the place. But you can't please one time, you know, it's 7 days a week. You can't expect a woman, a nurse, or that midwife or that teacher, if you know, I know that's your field. You used to be in that field, Priscilla as well. The stress is a lot in teaching. So like in almost every job. So you expect her to deal with, maybe 21 children, come back home, deal with her own. In the process, she's going to go and pick the children. Maybe it depends on the work the husband is doing or does. So she's doing that, and in the middle of that, she has to quickly run and do some shopping. Yes, you are the head of the house. You are the man of the house. But she's working 8 hours, 10 hours a week. Sometimes it's not like they don't know what to do. They know what to do, but they are tired. So at least pick one day in the week and do the cooking. Boss, do the cooking. Do the cleaning. Just do something. Because you are not in Africa.
Yeah.
You are not. We want to hear from our sisters tonight. And you, the brothers as well. But we have to understand where we are going wrong. And try together to understand and try and fix things. So yeah, Efia, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, so it's quite interesting. I had my in-law. I had a conversation with him a number of months ago, and I remember he came over and he was shocked because in our household it's my husband that cooks, and we are both Africans, and so and he was like, "Efia, but why?" And I said, "Why not? I do everything else." And so this is what we have negotiated, because and that's what works in the house, because when I say I do everything else with the household and our children are homeschooled, we have 3 young children, I run a business, I run home, and he works as well, and on top of that he's a pastor, so it's a lot that we're juggling, but we've come to the negotiation and the agreement that when it comes to cooking, he's going to take ownership of that. That's the one area that he can relieve me of, because contrary to popular opinion, like, we're not super women, and I mean, the whole kind of concept of a strong Black woman, I embrace that, absolutely. But at the same time, it cannot be, it cannot be that we are considered to be super women, because it is hard in this country, and we don't have house help, and so therefore there needs to be some give. There has to be some give. And so yeah, so that's exactly. Oh hi, that's my cousin in America. Yeah, so that's essentially what we've come to the agreement of, because I can't go mad, in this place. And I think what he's realized, as well as my husband, is that if I'm okay, like if I'm feeling whole and wholesome, and if I'm not overwhelmed and overworked and stressed, then everything else is okay, because the woman is the thermostat of the home. And my mood and everything, and my vibe and my energy completely impacts the home environment. And so if I am not happy, if I am overwhelmed, if I'm stressed out, that's going to impact him, it's going to impact the children, it's going to impact everything. And so it's actually in the best interest of the husbands to therefore say, okay, what is it that I can do to alleviate pressures from my wife and to just help? Because at the end of the day, you're a team. Yes. We are a team. And so we need to kind of think of what is it that's going to better and serve the team effectively.
Thanks so much, Efia, for saying that. Any contribution from Ryan and Franklin? Because
the brothers.
It's good.
I'll let Ryan go first this time, because I went first last time.
I think you make a valuable point about partnership, because that's how we operate here. We are literally, and have always been and always will be, a team. The team does not move forward if one of the teammates does not want to play. So we have to work together. And that's why I was saying earlier that my consideration isn't about what I do, it's about what furthers our family to the goal. So it doesn't matter. It's not so much the specific role, like you're saying. It's just we need to accomplish a certain mission. We have come together to create a family, and we are responsible for the children that we have produced. And whatever we have to do together, no matter who has to do it, it has to get done, right? So I agree with the idea. If we're acting as a team, we get things done. So like when my daughter was first born, right? When we were in the hospital and such, it was my job, and it stayed my job for a very long time to change the diapers. Not everybody, but that's how we started. That's what happened. Let's go. It was my job. I didn't look past it like it was someone else's or only her job. Those are our children, and we both expect a result. We both are in this. We're committed not only to each other, but we're committed to the family. The family is important, and that sounds like a team. We need to be sure that we are on that page together. So me trying to bottle her into a role wouldn't make sense in the upbringing of the children, where she is best suited more so than myself to get something accomplished, properly. Why get in the way of progress? So like you said, whatever supports her, because she supports me. She understands what I have to do every day and what I have, what I go through. I have to understand what she goes through and make sure that we're both able to complete the mission. Because if for some reason her day has drained a lot of energy, it's not my job to then come in and say, where's all your energy? It's as a team, we have to go, okay, what do I need to do to get us across the finish line today? Because I assure you, just like she did earlier in this live stream, she will assist me with, numbers, 30 years. Okay, so I need assistance, so that's what it is. Whoever has to lead in the moment leads the moment. We need to get things accomplished. How we get it accomplished is inconsequential. The result is the only thing that I'm concerned about. So her role is whatever, it needs to be versus mine. If we have to switch every day, so be it. If I have to cook one day, if she wants me to actually cook, then that's my job that day. If she needs it, because who knows? There's been times where she's had to go through a surgery, and stuff. So what am I supposed to do? Look at her and go, what's your role? No, the role is caretaking for me. I'm the nurse, I'm the teacher. I'm, whatever it needs to be. So like I said, I agree with what's been said here. If we operate as a team, we're going to get there. If we don't, we won't. And I'm only concerned about the end result in our marriage, and how we work together with the kids and our family, and how we intend to move forward when the kids start to grow and leave the home. That's that's a phase we're not there yet for, but it's a phase that, we're going to get to. So we have to plan and be specific about those goals, and really attach to them.
And the goals change, and the different phases change. We discussed. Sorry, Franklin, I'm gonna jump in for a second. But we discussed meeting each other as teenagers, and it wasn't as if our parents just let us go off and just be this couple. I mean, we obviously, there was a lot of parameters put on us, but we too, growing up in the West, and we're here in the United States, but growing up, you were told you're not just dating willy-nilly. You're not going to just be out here, because that is an image barrier. That is who you are. So you needed to be mindful when you did that. But it was always about that team. Because if you're going in there and you're competing with that person, well, what about me? It shouldn't be about that. You should want to be your best self. But being your best self is helping that teammate. And if you can't do that, if you're looking to one up, then that's not who you want to be with. And if that is your goal, to always try to one up or be competitive, then you are not part of the team. That is not a marriage. That is not a relationship. That is, the competition. So when we say team, it's you are a team player. You're not playing against your opponent. You're playing against your teammate. and you always want the best of them. But we go through different phases. You know, I was a starry-eyed 16-year-old, and this is how you have to be based off of how my dad was. And I did grow up with both of my parents, and both of my parents grew up with their parents. So it was, you know, we in it. This is what you're supposed to do. This is what a man's supposed to do. This is what a woman's supposed to do. But I also was raised to be very independent and to be very strong, have my wanting to do my own business. I was told that I could do that. Oh, and you also have to be a wife and a mother. So I had to navigate that. I saw that. And then I meet someone who supported that and didn't try to knock me down, but also didn't sit there and go, okay, what you want to do? I need, you know, a woman to say what we want, but we want that man to lead. We don't want that man to dominate and beat us verbally, physically. We just want them to lead in a loving manner, in a respectful manner. All of us will follow that person that's a good leader. But if you're sitting there looking at me and like, what you want to do? What we doing? You have to be that leader. You're my covering. So if you leave a woman to leave her parents' home, maybe on her own, because some of us had that opportunity. I only had it in college. We married, you know, close thereafter, being high school sweethearts. You kind of, the goal was to get married eventually, but I think those different roles. So who I was at 16 versus who I was at 22 when I got married, or 23, I guess, when we got married, is not who I am at this age in my 40s because of children, because of life experiences. I mean, we don't have time to go through everything that we went through, but we told you guys 30 years. It ain't all rosy. I don't always look, you know, model what was looking. I don't have the best attitudes all the time, nor does he, but it's an ebb and flow. And we have gone through businesses right now. We do have a business, Calls from Africa, that we have launched, and we're doing that. When I was 20, I was like, oh, honey, we're starting a business. When we did, you know, and it wasn't successful. Now we're kind of, you know, trying to find our niche. So I think it is the roles, but it's the team. What are you doing on the team? Who's doing what? Oh, you're falling on this part. Let me step up. Let me help on that part, because everybody needs to know. You need to know the person that you're with, because they have their strengths and they have their points of challenge, as do you. So where do you step up? You can't just sit and go, well, that was you. I thought you were going to pick the kids up, or I thought you were going to go work with them. You know what? I'm going to let mom sleep in today, y'all. We're going to take over the breakfast this morning. Or she has all these meetings going on. When she comes down, we're going to make sure she doesn't have to come and tell everybody what they need to do. So it's roles. It's roles, but it's that teamwork. And as someone wrote, teamwork makes the dream work. That's our saying. So thank you for knowing that. Teamwork does make the dream work, or it's unsuccessful.
One thing I'll add too, if you don't mind, I'll add this one thing, just to show you how real it was.
Go ahead.
So in our marriage, we had different phases. Like you said, you go through different things. So there was a point where when we first got married, where both of us were very strong in our careers and trying to build, right? Then we went through a phase where I wanted to make an adjustment in what I was doing. So I had to stop work and go to school. Right? Take class to get there. So who was supporting me, able to go to school and not concentrate on work? She took that role and she made the money to get us through that moment. And then when the school was over and I was able to exercise the things that I learned, I jumped back in and we started. So we've gone through this back and forth in our marriage where whatever someone would say that she owes to me, I obviously owe back to her. Literally, we have been a team that long. She has carried the burden, just like I've carried the burden of this stuff, making the money. You know, we've carried those burdens back and forth, depending on the moment, depending on what we're trying to achieve. And my wonderful teammate, allowed me to achieve something that has set us up for a whole lifetime of opportunity that wouldn't have been there hadn't she been there to support me trying to do that particular thing. That's how we get to these points. Her support, literally, her being the breadwinner, if you want to call it in that moment. It was a team move. It made sense. My pride wasn't hurt. I was thankful for the opportunity. And now we're in a different spot because she took a sacrifice then. You know, and as sacrifice, we both sacrificed in different ways throughout. But that sacrifice of her going out and having to earn the money so I could go to class all day and study all night and do all that was something that we did that helped us along the way, and it changed. So now we have children. So I'm working here, and we're doing a business, and we're doing all these things. And she's been with the children a lot, and we were both with them all day. Especially, only good thing about COVID, we're here all day with the kids. But that's the ebb and flow of our relationship. Quite literally, we literally had to have each other's back and get ourselves through moments. And financially, I mean, all those things, it didn't matter. That's literally what we've been through.
And supporting our businesses. And businesses are going to fail and have their blips. You can't just say, go get a job, get out there. You have to still support your spouse and understand we fail together, we succeed together.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Not the other one that said bad marriage for life. Not that one. The one we are talking about here now is we win together, we fail together. So because both parts, male and female, I hope we are all taking notes, especially us the singles out here taking notes, because people really want a long-lasting marriage, but no sacrifice whatsoever. Oh, do this. Oh, do that. You hear Ryan say clearly, at some point, you have to fix the food, be the nurse. So if you just sit there, with your big chest and keep repeating, I'm the man of the house, sometimes, man, you have to roll that sleeve and go in the kitchen. If it's needed, you have to do it, because you know that there is no one else that will feel that right there at that moment when she's not able to. So, we all want beautiful things. Oh, 17 years together. Oh, 30 years. Are you guys listening to what they are sharing? Because that's why, I try to have different, couple from different places, if possible, so we can learn. Because right now, what is happening within our communities, especially I'm referring to the African communities, people think they are still in Africa because we are wearing this. People think we are still in Africa. We are not in Africa. So if we want a long-lasting marriage, we have to take note and change things. You can cook, you can clean. There is nothing wrong with that. At some point, you, the woman, if the man is down, you have to do what Kalita just, what Ryan actually shared with us. And there is nothing wrong with that, for the man to feel a certain way because she is the one going out and work for that period. So, we really, really need to pay attention to, these conversations and take notes if we want, next time it will be you here giving advice to people. Oh, it's been 5 years because you learn certain things and putting those things into practice. So that's why I don't believe in talking for a long period of time and no action. So people are sharing their experiences with us tonight is for us to learn and run with it. So, Franklin, it's your turn now.
Okay. Wow. No, everybody's spoken quite beautifully. And is it Afia, Sister Afia?
Yeah. Hi.
Hi, and welcome. It's a pleasure. So I don't know. I'm gonna. You guys said so much, and you expounded and filled up the conversation with so much dialogue and so much content. I'm gonna just try and pick out a couple of things that were being said, and I want to start here, if you don't mind me saying. Black Note TV, we're all about changing perspectives, and we're all about One Africa, One Voice, and promotion of Black community, Black business, Black family. And in the sense of changing perceptions and changing the narrative, especially, right? And you all touched on quite a few things, and I want to lead from here, if you don't mind me. I want to lead from the narrative first of all, right? I'm half African, half West Indian. So I was born in Nigeria. My dad's Igbo, but my mom is St. Lucian, right? And I was born in Nigeria. Then I came over to the UK and I grew up in the UK. So I've had the paradigm of both West Indian culture and African culture, so to speak. So I'm able to speak about both paradigms, right? As well as being in that for myself in English. You see what I'm saying? So I'm gonna try and, I don't know if this makes sense because it's something that I've lived in my experience. So I'm gonna try and make it make sense, right? What we discussed. And in terms of women's responsibilities and roles, etc. Now, for me, the way I understand and what I understand about our enslavement or our colonization, and I'm going to begin here, is because there is a narrative, false narrative, that has been perpetuated on our people, and that is this male and female battle, this male and female divide, right? And it comes up in this roles and responsibilities section. And the reason why I say this is because understanding the history of what they did and how they psychologically put a difference and an issue between the male and the female, to do that to divide the family. When you have a divided family, you have a divided community, and it's much easier to break down, infiltrate, and subjugate, right? So let's put that there. Understanding that now, when we fast forward into the current living status of what we have, when we have this conversation and we talk about the roles of men and women, where we have to remember what lens are we looking at this from. Now, I've done African studies. I've studied African history, and African history, I do not find this paradigm that we speak of amongst African history prior to slavery or colonization. I find women leaders, women chiefs, women educators, women scientists and entrepreneurs and inventors throughout our history. So I come from a more enlightened place, understand that women are right there, right next to the brothers in history, throughout history, right? Even in the revolutions, even in the fights for freedom, and whether it's on the continent or whether it's outside of the continent. So I don't come from this paradigm of these roles, so to speak. These roles, so to speak, are from a Eurocentric white supremacist ideology. Men do this, women do this. And that was to develop culture. Fast forward to today now, and what I see is that I see this paradigm perpetuated within the West Indian culture and also within the African culture. And I'll touch on what you said, Kai, with the African culture. The African culture, and I'm going to say something that's very real, and some of our sisters are not going to like this, but this is the reality, right?
It's okay. Bring it on.
Okay. Sisters, we spoke about mothers and speaking over their sons and how they deal with their sons and how they raise their sons and the perceptions. And my sister spoke very eloquently about how she's raising her sons with the foresight of how they're going to be towards their wife and as husbands, excuse me. Especially speaking with the African culture, and I'll get to the West Indian in a second, the African culture, the mothers spoil their sons. They spoil their sons. They do the work for their sons, they clean for their sons, they cook for their sons. So I'm going to ask a question. If you as a mother is doing all these things for your sons, what skills are you instilling in the child?
Good question.
None. You are showing the child that I can't do these things. I need a wife who's going to do these things for me. This is now the perception of that male child growing up because he's seen his mother do all the things that a mother would naturally do for a child. Do you understand what I'm saying here? Now, because the mother doesn't instill this, and we've all agreed that the mother is the first teacher of a child, the mother is the everything begins from that nurturing aspect. So this is why I said I'm going to be real with my sisters. We cannot expect to have men who are going to be worthwhile husbands, as my sister had said, if the mothers from the get-go, as we mentioned, the three important people in a man's life, the very first is the mother. If she has not instilled in that child the mechanisms to be self-independent, and when I say this, let me use the examples you use. I know how to cook and clean my own house. I know how to cook my own food. I know how to take myself to work, come back, wash myself, clean my drawers, all the rest of it. I knew all of these things before I was 18. When I lived by myself as a young man, I was doing all these things. When I lived up myself as a single parent with my son, I did all these things, including the things that a mother would do, because that's what my mother raised me to do. So when I look for a partner, when I look for a partner or when I look for a life partner, or so to speak, I'm looking for a woman who can complement these things that I already can do. So leading back to Ryan's point about being a team. So there is no I in team, but there are roles and positions in a team. So I look at the relationship, or let's look at the relationship in the sense of it being a business. I, being the man, we say the head of the household, right? Okay. I'm the owner of the business. Very important role. My wife is the CEO of that business. All the running, the day-to-day, who does what, how, what the finances, the bills, the marketing, the advertising, that's her. Now, when something happens in the household, I'm coming to the CEO. I'm not going to go somewhere else to the employee. I'm coming to the CEO. What stuff with you? What's going on? So in the sense, the woman is the head of the household in that respect, in that role. Now, watch this though, and this is the hypocrisy, and I'm going to speak to my brothers about this, especially with African men. Because you are the owner of the company, you being the owner should be leading the company by example. Meaning this: everything the CEO does or has done, you as the owner should be able to do. There should be nothing, no job that's beneath you as this owner of the company. Bear in mind, the man of the household. There should be
Can you
nothing.
repeat that, please,
There
Franklin?
should be nothing, brothers. Listen, there should be nothing that you are not able to do that you expect your woman to do or your CEO to do. Whatever she can do, you're supposed to be able to do it. You're supposed to be the example of it because you are the company. That's the face. She's the CEO. So you want her to take a name, you want her to ride, you know, this is my trophy, this is my what? Well, bro, you better step into that role and own your business, right? So when these men, these African men who are really spoiled from child growing up, and they get to the situation where they're like, well, I see my woman as a helpmeet in the sense of a servant, as opposed to in the sense of a teammate as a CEO, who's making sure the checks and balances are being taken care of in my household and in my backyard. This is the fallacy of those men. And I urge women to say, consider those men as weak men in that stage of their life and move on or separate from that situation. Going on, I don't want to go too much into it, but going over to the other side in the West Indian culture, I've seen the West Indian culture which is the opposite of that, where the women have berated men. On the African side, they're spoilt. On the West Indian side, the men are berated, men are dogs, men are no good, this, that, and the other. Not all women do this, but I'm saying this is the general consensus as I was growing up. So now these young men hear this. They grow up not feeling the affinity of having a relationship with a woman. But remember, the woman is the mother, right? So that affinity they have with the mother and hearing the mother or the women around them saying these things puts a negative connotation in their mind about women and about themselves. So now they find it hard to now form meaningful relationships with other women as they become men, because they come from a place of insecurity, a place of low self-esteem, a place of not being able to recognize what a man's actual role is, because they've been around women who don't recognize what a man's role is, didn't put a man in place. When I say a man, I don't mean just any man because he's of male. I mean, when I say a man, I'm talking about someone that's respectable. I'm talking about someone that has morals and integrity, someone that has honesty.
Franklin, just say you're talking about real men out there.
Real men. Now, we're not boys, right? We're talking about real men. And this is where our sisters need to grab onto that. And I'm going to segue into a totally subject altogether. But remember, our cultural paradigm is broken down. We had help. We had house help. We had multiple wives in some of our cultures. So there was a family construct. We talked about it takes a community to raise a child. So there was all these layers of fabric that binded the culture together that enabled the family to grow. Now, all these things have been removed. This is why I say conscious. We on both sides, men and women, must be conscious of these fabrics that's been removed, and then to be able to have real meaningful conversations and implement strategies going forward. Once we accept these, we can now address the situation. When you go to an AA meeting, the first thing an AA says is what? Hi, my name is Franklin and I'm an alcoholic. You have to, I'm not saying I'm an alcoholic, but that's what you said. But you understand what I mean? You have to acknowledge the root cause of where you are in order to be able to move forward. So on both sides, on the Western, I'm not saying about the African American side, because obviously my brother Ryan can expound more upon that. But for the West Indian side, you know, the men are being told these things. So the men are being treated like boys. And then you expect, when they grow up now, you expect boys to become men. That's not going to happen. They haven't learned those mechanisms or those skills. And then on the other side, with the African brothers, our African brothers on the continent, those who have been spoilt, they now grew up with this spoilt complex where, you know, my woman is my doormat, so to speak, and she has to do everything that I want her to do, because they're perpetuating a mother as a, which is again a child, boy, as opposed to being a man who understands, well, this is my space, this is my home. I have to take care of this home. And by taking care of this home, I take care of everything that's underneath this home, which includes my wife, which includes my children. And then in order to do that, I sit to my wife and say, well, babe, how are we going to do this? And this goes back into the team conversation. Now we're dealing with the practicalities and the strategies of actually being in a relationship. Baby, you're good at dealing with the kids and the homeschooling. I'll tell everybody right now, I'm a clean freak.
He is.
I'm a clean freak. Every Sunday, we do a deep clean in my house. She hates it. Right? I do top to toe, right? Toilets, I'll be in the toilets with the toilet brush, behind the toilet seat. But that's just me. Do you see what I'm saying? But in your family dynamic, you're meant to find the balance, as we've all spoken about, as what the team is going to do to utilize the forward momentum, the growth. And
I don't do laundry. I don't, because I'm really bad at laundry. Do you see what I'm saying? Always have been bad at laundry.
Yeah, she shrunk a couple of shirts. That's why she don't do laundry.
I dye clothes, everything. But when it comes to things like ironing and stuff, I'm very anal when it comes to ironing. So Franklin do the folding, I'll iron. That works for us in our household. Do you see what I'm saying?
You know, even like for yesterday morning, she worked late doing flowers with her flower business. I just talked about working together as a partner. So she worked late. I was editing, but I went to bed slightly earlier. Now I usually get up early. So because I got up early, even though I went to bed late, I realized she hadn't got up yet. And I said, okay, well, the kids are around, you know, breakfast time, went downstairs, got the breakfast, sorted the kids out. And it's second nature. It's not, babe, you know.
Wake up.
Wake up. Like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like we're both lying in the bed, and I'm looking over like, the kids come, daddy, I want some breakfast, mommy, I want some breakfast. Like, babe, I get up. No, you know what I'm saying? I've got up, and that's naturally my clock, because I get up, I need to have my morning coffee. So if I get up and the kids haven't, you know, she hasn't got up that morning, I'm naturally gonna go make the breakfast because my kids need to eat. That's simple, you know. So these, in order for us to move forward, we have to. What I feel is that we should accept the paradigms that we're in, accept the time frame that we're in, accept the fact that the foundational blocks that are there or not there, to then make the appropriate decisions going forward for ourselves and in our relationships. Conversations such like these open up the platform where people can actually see couples who've been together for lengthy periods of time. And I would say, just like Ryan and Carlita and myself and Ursa, we come from where we see couples are being married, and I'm sure Sister Afia as well. So, you know, if you combine all our years of marriage together, you're probably going to get, I know between the two of us is almost 50 years already. So, you know, obviously with the sister, you're looking at over 50 years of marriage. The wealth of advice and information that you get from those couples and those people is what you put to the forefront. But instead, what I'm seeing is this get rich, die trying attitude. And the women have picked this up now, where they call it's gold digging, to be fair, but you know, they want to brush it under the carpet as well. We're not gold digging, we're just trying to be a boss. No, you're not trying to be a boss, because the fundamentals of what makes you a woman, you're throwing that to the side and you're using one thing, which I don't want to be rude about, one thing in order to gain your status as a woman. That's not the definition of a woman, nor is it the roles and responsibilities of a woman in this modern day and age. I'm just saying, but you know, wow, that's just me. So I'll give,
and again, it goes back to the teamwork thing, that people need to realize the importance of knowing what is happening in your house and try and find out what is the strength of my woman and what is the strength of my husband. And then as a team, you bring those two things together and fill in wherever there needs to be something to fill in, just to make everything work well. So, you know, I'm learning a lot. I'm sure the people in the stream also are learning. That's why we are here, because we don't just want to be in that dream fairy tale land thinking, oh, wow, 15 years of marriage, oh, good on them. No, they've been through a lot. And what they've learned through years, that's what they are sharing with us tonight. So Please, 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 let's not make this just another stream. We come, we have a good life, laugh and just go home. No, let's change certain things. And we have a messenger here. Messenger, what message do you have for us tonight? Unmute yourself.
All right. I'm so glad to be part of family. I greet you all wherever you're watching from. I'm just streaming from Somalia war zone. But I'm just
Thanks for joining us.
Of Uganda. But I'm just working there for some time. Very soon I'll be visiting Uganda. And hope if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, kindly do it, because I'm going to show you more about Uganda. Right now, I've been streaming about Somalia. As you know, we are in bit of creating new Africa as YouTubers. So this is our duty to promote African continent. So where I am, that's what I'll be doing. So soon I'll be visiting Uganda and be willingly to watch more about Uganda. Now here I'm just limited. I cannot do more because it's for the security reason. I'm not allowed to use a camera. I'm just using my phone. That's why some of my contents are not perfect. But when I'm back in Uganda, it will be okay. All right. Just a short introduction.
And please, later, just put your link in the chat for us, please.
Yeah, I'm gonna put there, no problem. I'm happy to see you, new family, because wherever I see people like you, I'm so inspired to be part of you. Because especially, Madam, what you are doing for us, it is great work, and we want to appreciate God for what you are doing. For the topic of today, as I'm trying to connect my link to the channel, what is the responsibility of woman in the family? As a man, one of the things I should take as a responsibility of woman is not to work, is not to be rich, is not to earn money, but to take care of the husband. I'm not saying you are not supposed to work. You are supposed to work. But there are some ladies who takes job to be the husband, job to be the God. Maybe when she got money, she's beautiful like ladies I see here. She will start behave as if she's the husband at home.
Oh,
yeah,
that's a good point.
Such beautiful ladies like you, I see there are 4 ladies here. You're looking good. So when you start looking good, when you start get men's, when you are beautiful men, they always talk about you. They always call you, such beautiful names. And when you spend with husband like 3 years or 4 years, the first love goes slowly reducing. And now when you get a young boy of 30 years, 20 years, and then you start saying beautiful words, then you start forget about your husband. So the only thing for the rules of woman is to love your husband. That is the first responsibility, to respect her. Love is a way. There are automatic things. Like, for example, if I started calling you baby, sweet, that time we are still young. But now when I grow up, we have kids. I cannot call you baby. Sometimes find calling you baby is not good. In the same way, when we started, we call each other sweet, honey. We used to do that when we are still young. But we have grown up. We have kids at home. Like my culture, it's somehow, we are not whites. We are black. Most of you are living in USA. You behave as if you are whites, but you are not white. We still have our culture here. When you're in front of your mom, you cannot call your wife sweet, baby, what, like me on my culture, your side, I don't know. But if you are in US, you are in UK, it's fine because that's the culture and there is no problem. But when you back here in Africa, calling you baby in front of my mom, in my side, it will somehow disrespect my mom. And some of them even they call them mom. You know, some of our old mummies they would ask me, "Is that your mom?" And I'm your mom. You know, you find there is a misunderstanding. But only it is just a chat, evening chat.
Sorry, guys.
Okay, back on my point, I just want to tell any woman if there is a respect and love at home, if you love your husband, there is nothing you need in your life that you will not get. The only problem for us men is a lady to misconnect my mind. For example, if I tell you I need $1 and then you tell me, no, what, $1 I cannot give you, I'll give you $50 in bad way. But you can tell me in simple way. You can tell me, you know what, JB, I'm not going to give you $1 of this and this. But they are tough ladies, you know, the misunderstanding, especially for us, we don't want to be disconnected our mind. If I tell you I need stop chatting and you keep chatting, it will disorganize my mind. So the only way is the responsibility of woman is to listen to your husband. Smooth way, life it will be easier for you. I think that is my contribution tonight.
Oh, wow. Thanks so much, Messenger. You know, we clearly receive your message. Like, guys, I'm sure everyone hear everything very, very clearly and you know what to do. So what, you know, guys in the on the panel, Pharaoh, what do you have to add to what the Messenger just, you know, deliver right now?
Yes, thank you, Messenger. Your point, to be honest, it was so funny. So I tried not to laugh, but unfortunately, I just couldn't hold it. It was just so funny. But I'll have to, there's a point there, I'll give it to you. I know the host, I know Sister Kali is not going to agree with me on this one. I conducted a research in Birmingham. In the diaspora, the separated rate are educated ladies in Birmingham, the highest for Africans, like the immigrants that came into this country. The single moms and the educated ones are the nurses, the social workers, and the teachers. The ordinary ones that do a job like the carers, and maybe they work in a warehouse where you don't need a basic qualification, or the cleaners, they are married to their partner. But the nurses, social workers, and teachers, this is the highest. We take teacher out, the highest divorcee was amongst nurses, followed by social worker. So I hold an expertise in this with the diaspora. So my brother Messenger, I kind of give that one to you, that when a Black woman or an African woman starts working, it becomes a problem. She no longer listens to the husband and she don't want to confirm into that family dynamics. I give you that one. It's a point. Noted. I'll go back to my sister. I've forgotten the name, the one that talked about the team. There is no other way I could have put it. There is no, she just elaborated it so masterfully. And then Brother Frank he reiterated, yes, I'll give you, Brother Frank, I'll give you that one. African mothers spoil their sons. African mothers spoil their son. I'll give you. I was born there. I grew up there. So our sisters, we used to sit, and then our sisters would do the cooking, the washing, and then sometimes my mom even used to instruct my sisters to go and bring my food. And then I'll give you another point again. African men in this country, in the diaspora, they think because they've taken you to ASDA and they've stocked the house with groceries, their job is done. So they just take you and then you empty the shelf, you put everything in the car, you drive home, then they stock the house. There's enough food in the house. To them, they are done. That's so wrong. I give you the idea of saying the CEO, you should be able to clean, you should be able to season the meat, you should be able to slice the onions, help in the house. That is your role. Your role is not just to provide these groceries. Who is going to cook them? Who is going to process all these things? So a company, the owner of a company doesn't just go get these raw materials and then put them into the company. You have to be that general overseer. Come there, help, make sure everything is being done. But oh, sister, is it Afia? Is that?
Yeah.
Yes, your idea about the team, the dynamics there is a team. For us to be successful. Sorry, I was just saying, for us to be successful, we need to operate as a team. So every player bring in that skills and their expertise, and then that's how we harmonize it and we get to our goals. Sometimes some people personally like me, I don't care how we go about it. I just want us to get there. If the whole idea is for us to bring up our children in a very structured manner so that they grow out and then they leave the nest, I don't really care how we will go about it, but I want us to be in harmony, do it, and then all of a sudden the birds, they develop wings and then they'll fly off. That's goal achieved. So as a team.
Can I just ask, are you saying that your preference would be for if it was your wife, for example, for her not to work? Is that what you're both saying? Because if a woman works, that then causes her to compromise on other areas.
Okay, let me answer this by bringing it in some form of expertise level. Sometimes a lot of immigrants, a lot of us that came into this country, or some of the Africans that came into this country, their working is classed as a luxury. So it's not like over here where you can just upload a CV, then send it to an email and a manager rings you, and then, so all of that plays within our mentality, within the African mentality. No, all I'm saying is you have to establish what they call work-life balance. Your work is work, and then your own family is work. A family, the way I see it, is a business. So you must run your family, and you've got two heads. Obviously, one can supersede the other one depending on how you want to make that balance. Like my brother Ryan there, and the other people were saying that is the husband that cooks. It's all what works for you. There is no right way of it saying, no, the woman must cook or the man must cook. So if you two sit and have a conversation, like Brother Frank, and then his queen doesn't know how to do the laundry, so Brother Frank has to do it. It's working for them. So I believe you sit down and negotiate what works for you. So for my woman not to work, or for my woman to work, work is part of running the family. We all need work to pay certain things, to achieve certain things. And then working in itself is like training the children. Just by merely going to work, you're teaching your children not to be lazy. So you pass to your children that ability of working to get what you desire. So work is very, very important. All I'm trying to say is, when you are working, like the messenger was saying, you have to understand that this is a job and this is your family. Never compromise the two. Don't mix the two. Keep your professional life in the office and then put your family life at home. Or leave your family life, don't take your family life to work, and vice versa. So that's what I was just trying to say, because he had a point that some of our women, they work and then it becomes problematic. I have to agree with him on that one. I have to agree. Like I told you, I conducted the research in Birmingham, and the divorcees or the divorcees, they are not the ordinary, they are the intellectuals, the social workers, the nurses, and the teachers. As soon as they obtain these degrees and then get these very good jobs, you have a woman you've dated for 10 years, she upgrades her career and it becomes a problem. So we cannot just push this underneath the carpet. We need to talk to our sisters. That was my contribution. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thanks, Pharaoh. Ifya, you have anything to add?
Yes. So I mean, I would consider myself to be a very ambitious and driven person. It's in my blood. My family are that way inclined, and so I've always worked since I was 16. And I actually got married at 18, and this December I would have been married for 15 years. And so but I've always had the mindset that everything that I do is to build my home. And so I do absolutely agree that the home should not be compromised in a woman's ambitions. I put up a post on my Instagram recently, and it was saying that I'm a mum boss. I'm not a boss mum. So essentially, like so I would consider myself a boss chick, in the sense that, yes, I run my business. I'm very entrepreneurially minded. But everything I do works around my children. It works around my home. And that's the way that I believe it should be. I think it's interesting, the concept of being a housewife, because I'm not entirely sure where that comes from. And I say that because when I look, for example, at the Bible, the Proverbs 31 woman, she was a businesswoman. you know, she would rise up early, you know, and she had, and so and even when you look at Africa, for example, like,
oh yeah,
women are, like, they always have some kind of hustle, like they're always having some kind of business or something that they're doing. Like my mom always was buying and selling and that kind of thing. And so I'm not sure where the concept of, like, you know, I'm just at home looking after the household alone comes from, because I've not seen it, you know, and I don't think it has to be the case that it's one or the other. I think it's very easy though for that to happen. I think it's very easy for women to, you know, become so consumed with their professions and their jobs that becomes priority. And we see it at the moment, whereby women are pushing back the age at which they start families because they want to, you know, climb up the career ladder and establish themselves first. And then, you know, and that works against biology in of itself, because once you start to hit 30, it, you know, it starts to get a lot more complicated. Pregnancy, you know, conceiving and carrying the pregnancies and so on. So, you know, I absolutely believe that it can be an issue, but it doesn't have to be, as long as women, I guess, appreciate that we can have it all, but just not at the same time. You know, and so we have to make sure that, and so, for example, I started having children at 25, and I gave myself a 5-year period where I literally just one child after the other. So by 30, I was done. And what I did was, and by a certain age, I left my profession. I was a teacher. I became head of department by the time I was 24. As I said, I was always very ambitious, but I came to a point when I said, all right, I'm giving myself this time to just focus on my children, you know. And so I left my profession. I started my business. I started homeschooling, and I still have the hustle. I still have my business. I still have my goals and ambitions. I'm still driven, but it's working around my family. I'm working on my own terms, you know, and that kind of thing. So I do understand where they're coming from. I do completely hear what they're saying. I think it's a valid point. I do question where the concept of being a housewife comes from, for the reasons that are given. But at the same time, I do think that it's very possible for a woman to be a working woman and for her to also have her priorities in check.
Sorry, Kai.
Yeah.
Let me I forgot an observation. Sorry, before I even go into that, how did you pick this team? It doesn't look tonight like a coincidence. Sister Afia and Sister Ursula, they dressed up, their hair dressed, their hair band. My brother Ryan.
You see, you now.
Hold on, my brother Ryan and me, we got similar beard, and my outfit resembles that of his queen. It's not a coincidence. We just look alike. What's going on here? What's going on?
That's the family. That's the family connection. It is in our house.
Nice one.
Things are well connected. I love that.
Yeah, I have some point one. I go and sleep. Though tomorrow I'll be going on work. I'm sorry. I hope you still have some time. But maybe, sister, you didn't get me well. For me, I was not saying that you are supposed to be a wife at home without working. No, you're supposed to work, but you need to balance two things: money and family. If you don't balance them, both of them, you neither lose them or you are going to lose one. That was my point. So saying that you go to work, you change, it is true. When you get money, you reduce, you change, you know. That is true. And we, even men, sometimes we change, but men, you can change, but you cannot forget your wife. For example, most of men who are cheats, I'm not saying every man is cheating, no, not everyone. Men who are cheating, what they does, you have wife and you have a chick outside. Most of men are always watching them. That's what is moving in the world. So for you, if you have a husband, it's okay. You have to appreciate God, and I hope you of too. You know, putting your wife on stream alive. That means you are faithful.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So back to my point. My point is, It doesn't mean that because you a wife, a family for wife or is supposed to be at home. No, you're supposed to work, but you need to balance. You know, because you started when you didn't have money. Now you have got money. You start disrespecting. You bring cleaners, even though you want your cleaner house girls to work on the beds of your husband, even to wash the underwear. You see, those small things, that's why men sometimes they go and cheat. You know, you used to take care of your husband, but because you always complain, I'm at work, I'm at work, I'm at work, I'm at work, the love husband goes down, 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 and then you find your husband is cheating because of you. So my duty is as a discusser here is balance the family and job. Have a nice time. May God bless you. Tomorrow I'm going to work. Goodbye.
True. Thanks so much, Messenger. What's the name of your channel?
My channel is JP Messenger. I've sent the link.
Oh, so that's the name. Okay. Yeah. All right. All right. Thanks so much, Messenger.
Can I just say something?
Oh yeah, we are about to round up now, so you can.
And you've got some comments in the box, Kai, as well.
Oh.
From people that are watching.
Let me go back.
Sorry, Ursula.
It's all right, babes. No, I was just gonna say that, like, I think I got what he was saying. Do you see what I'm saying? But I think, you know, it's important to put out it's very layered, I think, to why people do what they do when dynamics of relationships break down, which then results in things like infidelity or divorce and things. So I'm not sure what the cultural paradigms are in Somali exactly, but I do think we can't just bring it down to, oh, well, there was a breakdown in a marriage as a result of because this particular one need wasn't met. Do you see what I mean? I think there's lots of things that happen. I think a lot of the time when there's breakdown, communication is key in marriages. I think what you can find sometimes is that, especially when you've been together for a long time, you've got to always fight to make sure you're growing and changing and adapting at a similar time and still communicating. And I think some of what I tend to see from certain friends or certain marriages where relationships haven't progressed, sometimes I think that communication thing is a big, big thing. And sometimes it could have been a seed that was planted small before and then it just builds and then people just, so I don't want it to just come down to that if certain needs aren't being met, then that is the root cause for infidelity. It's much more than that, I think, when we're talking about relationships.
Yeah, and you know, I'm not going to be long-winded, but I don't want to leave your audience and our brothers and sisters out there on what the brother said about, you know, when it comes to women with money or earning more, working around the household. He said a number of things there, which I think we should have another discussion on and go into depth with those things rather than leave it just as an off the cuff without being addressed.
Yeah, because there was a comment in the box where the person was saying that they disagree with the fact that if a woman earns more than a man, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I put it earlier.
Yes.
Anything you want to say, Efia?
It's just the male ego. Put it back.
It's just the male ego that creeps in when the woman works and probably makes more than the man, that it usually brings about the divorce.
I find that disingenuous.
It takes a
There's layers, right? And this is what I'm trying to say about one size fits all. That statement has, in truth, there's some parts that's true to it. But what that statement overlooks is, again, a man's role and perceived role in society. If the man's perceived role is to be the breadwinner, the earner, and his woman is earning more than him, already there is a conflict there. You see what I'm saying? Because the society is telling men that to be successful, you must be the high earner. Women are telling men, I'm only going to buy with men that got money. If you're broke, I don't want to know. You're a joke. So when we make sweeping statements like that, we have to come to an understanding because we're trying to change perspectives, right? And while it's wrong for men to have that insecurity. It is a real insecurity that's really placed upon men in real life. So we kind of just dismiss that, you know, with a broad statement, because men have feelings too. So we do have to have the discussion, because he is wrong in that sense, but at the same time, we cannot dismiss it by making a, you know, such a statement. That's what I'm saying. That, yeah.
We have to have another conversation entirely when it comes to these points. So that will be another time. So pour les francophones, aujourd'hui, on a parlé des rôles et responsabilités d'une femme. Donc, il faut qu'on comprenne que ici, dans la diaspora, c'est pas comme en Afrique. Donc, on a besoin de travailler ensemble, les hommes avec les femmes, pour avoir une famille harmonieuse. Toi aussi, toi, en tant qu'homme aussi, tu peux aider ta femme en faisant la vaisselle, nettoyant la maison, des petits trucs. Tu peux même préparer des fois, juste pour aider la femme. C'est très, très, très important qu'on discute des choses comme ça, parce que il y a trop de divorces dans notre communauté ici. Donc, c'est à travers des conversations comme celle-ci, on peut vraiment essayer de changer et faire mieux les choses pour avoir une famille harmonieuse. So, guys, I will give everyone one minute, and so we can round up. 1 minute, please.
Okay, let me just go first quickly. Thank you, Brother Frank. You called me the other day. I'm looking forward to be doing things with you. It's always very, very important. Sister Kai is doing a very fantastic job. The other brother in America, his book came the other day, and I read some very interesting things. What I keep saying is, Black people, we need to be gregarious. We need to congregate. We need to come together. So as me and you conversed last time, I did tell you about some remarkable things I've discovered in white people. A white person shows up at your address, shows up at your house, and then the next minute you got a leak, and then he says, oh, my brother is a plumber, or my brother is a banker, my brother is an electrician. They have that support network because they know who is doing what. But imagine I've lived in Rowley Regis for 4 years, and you moved out of the area just 2 years ago, and I lived here all this while. I didn't know it was my neighbor. That's what I keep saying. You know, that's what I keep saying. We have to come together. That's why I was on Sister Kai's phone. I need Brother Frank's number. Then luckily enough, you call. So again, my sister Afia, you've said some very important things. I'm looking forward for a better network. I'm looking forward for things. Married people like you can always give us the support. You can always tell me how to deal with certain things and certain situations. I appreciate my brother Ryan and your queen. Oh, you met at 17, she was 16. If there was a medal, take it tonight. I would have given it to you. If there was a medal for this, then I would have awarded it to you. Thanks so much, everyone. Life is an experience. The best way to teach somebody is to share your experience. It's not to go into a textbook and read someone else's experience. It's to share your experience, whether good or bad. That is where knowledge comes from. And you've just shared your experience today, starting from how you met, starting from stating how you handle tutoring the kids, washing the clothes, preparing the meal, going to the bank and doing all the shopping for the house. These are life experiences, and trust me, there are millions and thousands and millions of viewers there that believe it, they will take it on board. So I thank you guys so enormously for the wonderful contribution and the family as a unit. But there's something I'm going to take. The thing I'm taking home tonight, I'm taking with me to bed, is from Sister Afia. So I'll say you are the man of the match. Relationship or marriage is a team. It's a team. I'm taking that with me, and I guarantee you that will not depart from me. So I'm keeping that in. Thanks so much, everyone. Thanks so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ryan and Carlita.
Well, we just thank you so much for allowing us to be a part of this. We are very excited. Ryan and Charlita, we are calls from Africa, and we are on a mission to have a collaborative effort for language and culture, for those that are repatriating to the continent, for those that want to vacation, because this is the most awesome place to vacation. And then just for students, we too are homeschoolers. It's the whole family, not just the kids.
Wow.
So we'd like to extend this for homeschoolers as well and other students so that you can learn the language from all the countries, as well as bridging the gap, because we are in the West, but our skin, our melanin, dictates that our home, our roots are there in Africa. So we have some community service initiatives and some programs there on the ground that we're getting started to really help. But we're just excited to partner with those in the diaspora as well as those on the continent. Callsfromafrica.org. Please check us out, see what we're all about.
Sure, and with Calls from Africa, understand one thing that we also are highlighting and we want to help produce is help local businesses, folks who are on the ground, and we call them micro businesses. And the reason why we call them micro businesses is because it's people who may not have the access to get online, to sell and to market their goods. Well, we want to work with them to create a streamline between, we're in the West where there's, some dollars over here, a direct streamline to those local businesses, so we can start to engage over this digital platforms that we have and really get to all the people and not exclude people because they're not a big business. They don't have all the reach. We're finding the individuals, local craftsmen, tailors, any business opportunity that we can help someone on a local level, on a small level, to bring their goods to the West and allow them to sell and enjoy the benefits of being here for themselves wherever they're at. We're looking to work with those folks. Callsfromafrica.org. We're here.
When you hear Africa calling,
you have to answer the call.
Ooh, I love that. I love that.
Is it calls as in CALLS or CAUSE?
CALLS. Calls from.
I put the link in the chat.
Yeah. Okay. And the Instagram link as well. So you guys, they are on Instagram, both Ryan and Carlita. Calls from Africa. This one are not Joko, straight from Africa. So you need to follow them, and I'll probably have them back on so they can share more about Calls from Africa. But I'm so honored and happy to have you here and all the amazing guests. I'll still have to give Efia a chance to say what she needs to say within her 1 minute and tell us a little bit about Team Bayai. Guys, we are here to learn. I didn't even know that Carlita also and Ryan are homeschoolers. So we have to put something together so you can come and share and teach us. So Efia, back to you.
Thank you so much for having me, Kai. I really do appreciate the invitation. So yes, my name is Efia Bayai, and I am the queen of my team, which is Team Bayai. And we are on YouTube, we are on Instagram, and I'm using these platforms to really kind of help empower parents when it comes to educating their children. I am very much pro homeschooling, but I was an ex-teacher. I'm not anti-schools, but I just think that this is the best thing for my family. And I think a lot of families, I feel privileged to homeschool, and I feel like we've kind of been able to get access to something that needs to be put on the map a lot more. I don't think enough people know how much of a glorious thing it is. And so I'm using the platforms to do so. So we share everything to do with faith, family, home, growth, with a tablespoon of humor. So yeah, my husband was here last week on this same show, and he's the funny guy and the creative one. And he adds the tablespoon of humor to all that we kind of put out there. So please do check it out for those of you who are live streaming, and yeah, it'll be great to connect.
Awesome. So I'm just trying to write Team Bayai in the chat for
do you want me
the
to
viewers. Yeah, you can drop the link. You can drop the link. So wow, thanks so much, all of you. Amazing people. Great family discussion we had tonight. Really enjoyed it. Learned so much. So I don't take these discussions for granted, because we are all going to learn and win. And once we are winning, Africa is winning. So Thank you all. The little thing I have just to highlight is implementing a flexible arrangement for men's and women's roles in the household can contribute to the happiness in each family and can also help reduce divorces within our community. So, because both parties are doing work, they are working together. It's a teamwork, no competition, guys. So, let's always remember that. So, please, for you guys that this is actually your first time on this platform, this is our platform. So if you have any issue, anything that is so dear to you, you want us to discuss here and find solutions, very easy. Email me at the diasporachannel@gmail.com and we will have you here as well so we can hear it from your own mouth, for not my own. So you can join us and we discuss together and find solutions to our issues. So please don't forget to subscribe. You know, BLK Mail TV, they are out there dropping some good content that you guys need to check out. Team Bayayi, the same. That's how we do it here. We support one another, and that's the only thing, one of the strongest things that will bring change is our unity. So thanks so much for your time, for your contribution and everything. And if you love this platform and you want to support what I'm doing, you can become a member of this channel by, joining the membership or simply support me on Patreon. Whatever you can do, even supporting me by joining us here is a support already. So thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your day on the other side and your evening here. So I'll see you all. Bye.
Bye. Bye.